goes nothing. Okay, so the starter's not disengaging. Crap. Okay, so I gotta pull the stator back off. Son of a bitch. And then figure out why my starter clutch is not working. Probably just pull it off the other engine and put it on this one and just say fuck it all. Damn it. As you could probably tell, I was very frustrated at this point. In case you didn't pick it up in that clip, the starter clutch wasn't disengaging. So the starter was being spun up to engine RPM after it started. That's very bad for the starter. On the plus side, this thing started on the first try. The swap was a success. But back to my frustration. I didn't shoot any video of removing the starter clutch or alternator rotor from the 500 engine, nor did I shoot me leaning the bike way over against the wall to change that out on the 750 engine. The reason I leaned it over on the wall was this allowed me to change out that rotor without having to drain the oil. Remember that giant electric impact gun I bought? Man, did it come in handy for getting that rotor off the 500 engine. Anyways, got it all back together and continued to forget to shoot video, mostly because I'd already done a first start video. The video picks up shortly after that. Alright, I've been unable to get the thing to idle once it warms up. The map is just not even close. I did my best to load the 750 values into the map and it's still not running right. Maybe it's got a vacuum leak. It's either that or I'm gonna have to buy the 750 computer. I even called Vance and Hines and they sent me a map that they said was a 750 map that I could load onto my 500 computer, and I don't believe them. I think they only changed the engine size, which is all I had started with, but it drives and rides. I mean, I rode it around the block a couple of times and it's not terribly smooth. You can tell that the mixture is all wrong, but it does run, and so anyways, let's watch it run. It revs like I wouldn't believe. I mean, getting those balance shafts out of there really helped. It is seriously loud. Alright, I'm gonna run the bike until it stalls again. Here we got spark angle in the top left, we got engine temperature in the top right. Map. Let's see what else I can do that's gonna be useful. It doesn't give me idle air steps, which I really wish it did. AFR, injector duty cycle, torque, which is a made-up number on this thing, so it's horsepower. Fuel economy is made up. So I'm gonna go with injector duty cycle, really. So here we go. We will fire it up and watch the thing until it warms up, and then it'll stall just like always. Okay, so it starts up just fine without touching the throttle while it's cold. And now it's idling, albeit at a higher idle than I'd like, but this is a warm-up idle. Yeah, you can see the idle's getting a little bit disturbed. It's bouncing between 13 and 16. There it was back to smoothed out. Here it goes. It's going to stall any second here. We're still only at 96 degrees. $100 like a switch. Although it was, you know, swinging wildly before that. So I don't understand. Wonder what happens when all my slots get full. Does it just overwrite one of them, or does it tell me I need a new FP3? That'll be an interesting problem to run into. Startup and idle. Cranking fuel. So we got an 80 and a 96, which is where things started getting funny, but this is cranking. Warm-up enrichment, 80 and 96. So we go from 1.68 at 64 degrees to 1.43 at 80 and 1.08 at 96. Maybe I'm just too lean still. IAC crank steps. It certainly seems like it needs more. Let's try 136. 123. 105. 95. Done. Crank to run. This might be it. This might be the minimum steps while running. So let's turn all of these up by 10. 97. 88. 80. Yeah, we'll just go and turn all these up. Done. Let's flash this. I've turned up all the IAC steps. It's a real shame I can't view them on the status screen. Let's see if it'll start now. Nope, won't stay running. Yeah, sensor data, yes, yes. Ooh. Baby, stay running. Damn it. It's trying harder. I don't know if that means I just need to turn up the engine displacement. Still 45. Injector size, as far as I know, didn't change. I don't know. Yeah. Crank versus temp. Okay, so we're at about 120 now. So that's down here. 25, 135, 143, 125, 115. Oops. 111. Yeah, okay. Done. This is crank to run, so this is after it starts. Let's go. IAC warm up. So we're going to do, we're at this area where it goes down to 66 from 80. So let's just go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 86, 83, 81. Okay, done. So we're getting closer. Idle spark control gain. Let's just try 1.25. Not so much gain because it was at 1.95. Idle spark control max. I've turned this down already, down to 4. I think it was at like 8. I'll change that to 2, just kind of smooth out the front closed throttle spark. Closed throttle max TPS. Yep. Okay. Did this app just lock up on me? Oh, like crap. Yeah, it just locked up on me. Damn it. I think I just lost everything I just did this particular session. Bloody hell. Start up and idle. No, they're still here. Done. 46, yeah, I think we're still there. Well, yeah. IAC warm up. Yep, let's just flash this. Continue. I'm now holding the throttle open. I'm trying to get it to warm up a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to try and let it idle. Nope, off like a switch. All of those IAC changes did jack shit for getting it to idle. Alright, you'll have to pardon the shaky cam. So down here is a minimum idle set screw. This is just kind of a hunch, but I think that my throttle blades need to be open a bit more for the 750 engine. So this is an 8mm set screw right here. There we go. 8mm set screw, and then, lock nut, and then the set screw in the middle is a 2mm Allen key. So as if this throttle body didn't use enough different sizes already, now it wants a 2mm. Oh, the sun decided to come out. It's a pretty stormy day. You can see the throttle plates are just ever so slightly still open, and I need them ever so slightly more still open, and hopefully that will solve the last little bit of trouble it has with staying idling. So I'm gonna turn this in a couple of turns and see. It doesn't even seem to be making contact yet, so I'm gonna set this down and do that. Alright, I got it adjusted. You can see it's open a fair bit more now. Maybe it's too much. I'm going to have to fire it up and see if it idles way too high. And then if it doesn't idle way too high, I've got to let it idle all the way up to temperature and see if it stays idling now. Okay guys, more missing video here. So the set screw idea was a flop. Sure, I could open it to the point where it'd stay idling, but never below about 1500 RPM. I had also been going rounds with Vance and Hines tech support. I'd tell them about it dying at 100 degrees and they'd send me a new tune. That one would make it to 120. I'd tell them and they'd send another. This time it'd make it to 140 degrees. All the while it never ran quite right. Backfiring and popping while idling, loping, hunting. It was ugly. About this time, someone on the Street 500 750 group on Facebook pointed out that the 750 has injectors with different part numbers. Another guy pointed out that the throttle body is larger on the 750. So I ordered up an intake with throttle body and injectors on eBay, as well as a 750 ECM, as it had become obvious this engine just would not run properly on the 500 ECM. Turns out getting this throttle body off is way harder with the gas tank in the way. I've got the gas tank propped up a little bit, And I've got everything loose now. I've got one more wiring harness still on there, but I can't really get to it right now, so I figured I'll get it on the way out. Anyways, there we go. You wouldn't have wanted to watch me for 10 minutes struggling to get this thing out of here. Okay, let's see about this wiring harness now. It's right behind the fuel connector, so it's kind of a pain. And it's one of those, it's the only connector on this stupid engine that's got a security clip on it that makes it really hard to release. There we go, now it's permanently gone. Now I should be able to release the thing. There we go. It's moving, there we go. That should be the last thing holding it in. Yeah. Now I've got to figure out how to get this fuel line off. I guess I release these clips and it pops out backwards, and then I can pull it off and we'll put it on the new throttle body. Okay, yeah, I just squeezed here, this pops up, and I imagine, yeah, a little bit of fuel in there, but yeah. So let's compare this to the new throttle body. So I got this for like 60 bucks on eBay, which is a heck of a deal. And I don't know if I've got this on camera properly, sorry. So it came with injectors, and somebody in the Street 750 group pointed out that the part number is different between the 500 and 750 injectors. So it's a very good chance that the 750 injectors are larger. You figure the 500 makes about 15 or maybe 20 horsepower per cylinder, and the 750 makes 30 to 40 horsepower per cylinder. So it's quite the difference. So probably double-sized injectors. And man, this thing's just gonna piss gas all over the floor. Okay, anyways. Now, let's see if we can get these side by side and see in. So somebody found an obscure news article, which was the only place I could find this kind of technical information. You can clearly see the size difference here. The 500 has a 33 millimeter throttle body, and the 750 has a 38. So while this would have worked most of the time, and I'd have had, you know, nice slow throttle response, which I kind of like. I don't really like them when they're twitchy. At the top end, I'd have lost all my, it would have started choking. So I wouldn't even be able to really hit the rev limiter. The RPM, horsepower would drop off long before then. So yeah, 750 needs more air. So it's got a bigger throttle body. I did the math, and it's a good 20% more air. So it's pretty significant. Anyways, hopefully between the injectors and the larger throttle body, it will idle properly now. Alright, new throttle body installed, all the wires are hooked up, the fuel line's hooked up, the throttle link cables are hooked up, and to finish off the bike, I'm changing the 500 ECM for a 750 ECM that I picked up on eBay. eBay's really been the saving grace on this engine swap. That throttle body would be a fortune from Harley, and I can't imagine what they want for an ECM. I got this ECM for $125, which seems to be about the lowest you can get them for on there. They go up to about $250. And the throttle body with the injectors and the manifold and everything, all the sensors still on it, that was $60 shipped, which is significantly cheaper than the dealer would want. Easy enough to unplug the old ECM. My rubber grommet stayed in. Oh geez, this whole connector came apart. Jeez, look at that. Let's see. Yeah, so this connector has completely self-destructed. That's brilliant. So I gotta get these out of here. Try and do that without ruining any of the pins in this ECM, because if I need to go back, I'd like to have it functional still. Okay, there's the rubber water seal. And then this is the little clip-in that keeps the pins from falling out. There we go. Little watertight grommet goes at the bottom. These bikes are such low quality. Back in place. There we go. Now, While mine's really dirty, so it's really obvious which one's mine, I wrote 750 on the new one so I don't get them confused. I'll write 500 on the bottom of this one later. There we go. This will solve the idle problem once and for all. It's a 750 computer, 750 injectors, 750 throttle body, 750 engine. One way or another, it's gonna happily idle. Honestly, if it doesn't idle now, I must have misadjusted the valves, but I'm pretty sure they're fine, and this was the whole problem. The bad news here is that I'm going to have to buy a new Fuel Pack 3, Vance & Hines FP3, and $400 because it's locked to this ECM. It'd be nice if they let me trade it in. You know, here's one I can't use, sell me a new one for half price, and then they take it and unlock it and sell it as refurbished. Anyways, I'll probably grab that FP3 and zip tie it to this computer. If I never use that engine again, I could always sell the pair on eBay and somebody could swap the pair into their bike. Or when I put that engine into something else, it'll be a nice combo. Anyways, let's get this thing started and see if it idles now. Well, here we are. It's essentially up to temperature. This is the lowest it's ever idled. That 500 computer just could not get this thing to idle. 170 degrees. It sounds way better too. The spark curve must have been all wrong. Let's see if I can see the spark. Let's see. Front spark advance. There we go. There we go. Yeah, we're idling at about 1200. It's fully up to temperature. Boy, this thing revs. Dang. Woo-wee. I like it. Sounds sick. I got that 750 ECM and throttle body on a Friday. That evening after work, as you just saw, I installed them on the engine and did a quick test fire up to make sure it solved the idle problem. And as I mentioned, the FP3 could no longer tune my ECM, as it was locked to the 500 ECM. So despite having a fair few mods on this motor, the local dealer was having an open dyno day, 3 free polls, just a friendly competition amongst anyone interested, to compare their bikes. So I couldn't resist and ran the bike down there to let her rip. Here are the results. 56 horsepower, 46 torque. Completely untuned on a stock 750 ECM. And there was a second Street 750 there for the dyno event. That bike was stock except for a slip-on. Nearly identical numbers. At least this confirms that I put my engine together correctly. It also confirms that you really do need a tune to go with your slip-on and intake. Otherwise you'll see no benefit at all from them. After the event, I came home and emailed Vance & Hines one more time. I lamented that they had been unable to make my 500 ECM run my 750 engine. It really should have been a few simple table changes. And I told them that I'd bought a 750 ECM, and now it ran and idled just fine. I told them I really wasn't feeling too hot about buying a new FP3 to go with my new ECM. Late the next evening, they wrote back and said they were sorry about not being able to pull it off. Said I was the first person to have done a 500 to 750 swap that they were aware of, and that the software in the two ECMs was just too different for them to have been able to get the tables exchanged. Something about different table sizes even. They agreed that buying the matching ECM was the right course of action, and, this is the best part, they told me to just send proof of purchase of the ECM, and they'd replace my now useless FP3 with a brand new one. Which I did, and they did, and you're watching me flash the 750 ECM right here and now. Alright guys, this is where the video series ends. The motor swap is done. I will probably come back to it and put on the turbo that I had mentioned, but for now, that'll be a whole new series. This motor swap series is done. I may do another series where I put the 500 motor into a go-kart, especially now that I have a spare ECM and throttle body and everything. So all I need is a wiring harness and a fuel pump, really. So anyways, let's end this video with it firing up for the last time. I got a new Fuel Pack 3, FP3 from the dealer, as you just saw me programming. So it's all tuned properly now. You saw me flashing it. And so the 750 is purring like a kitten. Let's go ahead and fire it up. By me.